What is up, YouTube? This is Pokedan, and I'm making up a Greninja deck profile for you guys. So this is my take on it, and just want to walk you through it. Alright, so first up we run 3 copies of Froakie. I only run 3 so we have more room for Frogadier on our bench. Good setup and gives us a good chance to start with Talonflame as well. So we run 3 copies of him. Next up we run 4 copies of Frogadier. Uses attack war duplicates. Search up to 3 Frogadier and put them onto your bench. Shuffle your deck afterwards. Crazy good start if you have Wally first turn. Crazy good. Alright. Drop those guys down. Next up, I run 4 copies of Graninja. We have our attack Shadow Stitching, which does 40 damage until the end of your opponent's next turn. Each Pokemon your opponent has in play in his or her hand and discard pile have no abilities. Really good, along with Moonlight Slash. Just for 1 energy, really solid card. And we run 4 copies of that. Next up, we run 3 copies of Graninja Break. Kind of a standard list there, but pretty good. I was running it with 2 for a while just because I couldn't find the third. No one would trade me, so I bought one. And I've been testing out today. Love this deck. Just love it. Alright. So we have 3 of those. Oh. In case you don't know, the effect is Giant War Shuriken. Once during your turn before you attack, if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, you may discard a Water RNG attached to this card from your hand. Put 6 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Crazy if you just keep switching out between them. You could hit for 180 in that turn, say if you're going against an EX and you just want to go for a quick knockout. It's great on there. Next up, we're running 3 Talonflame, as I was mentioning. Has the ability Gale Wings. If you start with this guy, you can place him as your active, and you can start out with him. It is great to start with him and use Aero Blitz 40 and it's free computer search. Really awesome. So I run 3 copies of Talonflame. Next up we run a 1/1 Octillery line. We use him for the Abyssal Hand. Once during your turn you may draw cards until you have 5 in your hand. Just like a continuous Shaman, but unfortunately Shaman's a lot faster. Wish Octillery was, but you know, he's pretty good if you don't have the money for a Shaman. Which I do not. Alright, and then last up we run 1 Jirachi. We use him for Stardust so we can knock off a special energy, do 10 damage, and just protect Jirachi for a turn while we get something else set up. Really awesome. Alright, next up we're going on to our items. We have 4 Ultra Ball that we run here. Discard 2 cards, search for something in your hand. Search for a Pokemon in your deck and place in your hand or your bench or wherever you need it for. So we run 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Next up we run 4 copies of Dive Ball. Just search for any water type, no questions asked. Fantastic. I love this card. Wish they had this for like every other type, but Alright, next up we run 4 Trainer's Mail. Look at the top 4, see if you can find an item card. Well, a trainer card. Pop it in your hand and good to go. So we run 4 of those. Next up we run 4 VS Seekers. We run a very small count of supporters in here, so we really need to use our VS Seekers wisely. But yeah, run 4, pretty standard on there. Now we're on to our one-ofs on items. I run 1 Floatstone. We're using that for Jirachi and Octillery. And or, you know, normally I just run on Octillery, and doesn't matter if you're Lysandered out, you're going to be all good. Next up, I run 1 rare candy. That's in case you start with a Froakie and you have Graninja in hand, like this mid-late game. Say if most of you guys get knocked out, you can just rare candy and get another Greninja out. Pretty good, just one of. And I run a Professor's Lair. Search out your deck for 2 energy cards, pop them in your hand. Great if you're dead drawing on that, but it's not too bad on the dead draws. Alright, now we're on to our stadium cards. We run 2 Rough Seas. Pretty standard for here. Heal off all of our water types, which that's the majority of our deck, except for Talonflame and Jirachi. So that's pretty good. Now we're on to our supporters. I run 2 Wally. If you start with a Wally and a Froakie, those are the best matches in my opinion, because you can get all 4 Frogadiers out in that time. Just do water duplicates if you start second. Really great. Next for our draw support, I run 2 Sycamore. Discard your hand, draw 7. Get a fresh set. Pretty good. And I run 2 N. Shuffle your hand to your deck, draw even to your prize cards. Really good for disruption first turn. And if you don't have that good of a hand, you can just mess with your opponent. And then I run 2 Lysanders. Choose what you kill, in case Giant Water Shuriken's not doing it for you. Alright. And our 1-ofs for our supporters are Hex Maniac, shut off abilities for 1 turn. Pretty great. I'm not really sure what would really hurt us in that respect. I guess that's just like a drawn pass if you had that situation, but you do have Shadow Stitching that you can use for that. But it's a good backup. Next up, we run a Fisherman. Put 4 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. Really good, considering we go through energy really fast. And I run 1 of the new Karens. So it's like Lysander's trump card, but just for Pokemon. If only that was still a thing, but it's good. Vespiquen's not going to be a thing anymore. And yeah, so I run 1 Karen in here. And that'll do it for the support lineup. Next we have our energy. So I run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 energy in here. And I'm dropping everything. But run 8 energy. I find it's really consistent and it's just a really fun deck. Like or subscribe. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks.